Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to our video, What's Cooking at Kontent.ai, a first look at some of the things we're thinking about behind the scenes at Kontent.ai in terms of AI in our product. So with me today is Tomasz Ruby. He's a lead product manager at Kontent.ai. I'm Jordan Torpy. I'm a product marketing manager at Kontent.ai.
Hello, everyone.
Thanks. So before we start, let's look at where we are now in terms of AI in a headless CMS. What have we developed so far? So if you're a Kontent.ai customer, this might be familiar with you. These are some of the AI capabilities we currently have in our early access program. You can summarize text, you can make titles, you can make text shorter, you can improve content, and you can change the tone. But I'd like to think a little bit about where we're going. So Tom, maybe you want to tell us about where we're headed.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding what the current capabilities are. Well, we at Kontent.ai, we don't treat AI as like a feature, but rather as a technology that has potential impact throughout the whole content creation process. So when we look at which parts of the content creation process the current capabilities address, it's refining and restructuring the content, improving the tone of voice, improving the writing. But there's a lot of parts that we still miss out in where AI might have a potential impact. So if I go swiftly through the whole journey, at the beginning, there is a cycle where you as a content creator kind of ideate, write, and refine and restructure the content in an iterative way until you are fine with it. You kind of do the internal review, and then you send it through the content production pipeline, basically, which requires often several steps. It might not be linear as depicted here. It might be circular. It might have more steps, but this is the archetype that we are working with. That at some point, you care about repurposing, consistency, interlinking, and basically fitting your content in the context of the whole enterprise. Then at some point you care about the factual review with the product experts or subject matter experts. Then you care about the editorial review so that your brand tone is consistent. Then at some point you care about translation and localization into all the regions that you speak to. And then at some point you care about legal and regulatory review. So right now we cover structuring and refining, but today we want to tell you about a few areas where we kind of put our foot in the door and started experimenting in. So the first area is repurposing and consistency. To reiterate, it's important in an enterprise project, especially to keep consistency, and for keeping consistency, good structured content that is easily reusable is essential. Because otherwise you duplicate information, either it's content or assets. And so repurposing not only improves SEO, but also improves the consistency. But we have an actual marketer here. Jordan, perhaps you can tell us how you can relate to in your day-to-day.
Yeah, so right now we're looking at working with repurposing assets. And as anyone who works with a large asset library knows, there's a lot of challenges that comes with working with such a large asset library. It's often hard to find the right asset you want for the task you're working on. And that's because people are often inconsistent with how they name their assets, or they don't even have any asset naming conventions that they're following. Another issue is that it's hard to organize the assets you're working with. So in Kontent.ai, we have folders to organize your assets, but different members of the team use folders differently. Some of them don't use them at all. And often when creators are adding assets to a content item, they want to just add the asset and be done with it. They don't want to go through the process of putting it in the right folder, naming it correctly, adding tags, etc. And so this often results in an asset library that's unorganized and full of duplicate assets, which slows down your processes while you're trying to work and find the right asset for your content. So, Tom, if you could say a bit about how we're thinking about solving this.
Yeah. So solving this actually involves automation of the tasks that creators often skip, and also safeguarding the tasks that harm consistency. And so our first experiment, or our first step in this direction, is automating asset tagging, so that when your creators upload new images, in the background, computer vision creates tags, and those tags are later used in search, so that it's easier to find existing assets even in a bigger environment. Of course, we are not talking now, but in the future, there are many natural steps of automating also other metadata that are important for assets. And then there is a whole another topic of repurposing content. So right now, a nice first step is helping asset repurposing by improving the searchability using automated asset tagging.
Yeah, and it's great, I can tell you. We want to look at another section of the content lifecycle now. So let's talk about translation and localization.
Yeah. So yeah, as I mentioned, at some point you have like a content in your primary language, and you want to translate it into your regions, sorry, localize it into your regions, or if you are a multilingual country, you need to have the content always translated, for example, in English and French, or other multilingual countries. So yeah, important thing here is to distinguish between those two scenarios, as I'm going to expand on when explaining the solution. But before I do, Jordan, what's your experience? I know that in previous jobs and even in Kontent.ai, you work with translation pipelines.
Yeah, so I've worked as a content manager and a copywriter for companies that have large international presences. And the truth is, the translating content is a tough, difficult, and expensive task. So it takes a lot of time to get your content to the team that's going to translate the content. You might need to get it out of your CMS, put it into a different system, send it to a team for translation. They send it back to you in a different format. You need to get it back into your CMS. And that involves a lot of context switching between different platforms and different tools. And so because translating content is expensive, not just in terms of the time it takes, but also in terms of money, you need to pay these translation localization teams. You need to prioritize the content that you actually end up translating. And that means that you're not translating all your content for all your audiences, and you end up decreasing the customer experience. So how are we thinking about solving that?
Exactly. So now, as promised, I'm going to deep dive into like what is the double-edged sword, or what are the boundaries of the solution. Like the basics of the solution, I think it's pretty clear. So AI-powered translation directly in the CMS without interrupting your flow. You simply hit translate, choose your source content, and behind the scenes, so the translation task is done in a matter of seconds. So you don't need to wait, you don't need to switch context. You can continue other tasks within the item, or within other entities in the CMS. But when I mentioned that there are boundaries, we don't think that currently the AI translation is like ultimate solution to all translation tasks. We see a huge success in multilingual countries, where the creators can speak both languages and they can review it. We see it also as important to, in the future, highlight all AI-generated text, so that nothing like automatically translated will get to production unchecked. But also we know that there are use cases where those automated or where those pipelines, including translation tools or translation agencies, are critical. And typically those are where there is not an expertise within the content team to review the target content, or there are more complex rules and nuances in the translation process. But we can already see that it helps a good amount of cases.
Yeah, yeah. And one last area we want to focus on in this content pipeline, and that's getting your content from 0 to 1. Tom, do you want to say a little bit more about what that is and how we're thinking about it?
Yeah, sure. So moving back to what skills we already have in the early access. They are mostly about improving writing, generating content like summaries, and improving the structure. But you can also use it to generate new content or expand the existing content, but it doesn't feel like a natural way to do that. And the next step that we wanted to cover natively and more fluently is getting from 0 to 1, basically creating the first draft. So really support that ideation and drafting journey so that we help creators get to the first draft quickly. And there are a couple of issues that we see in the ideation and refining phase when you are moving from 0 to 1 is first I typically try like bullet points of different flows of information, but when it comes to trying it out or expanding it to see how it unfolds, it's time consuming. So trying properly multiple writing approaches is costly. And when you want to keep something, when you hit, for example, a pattern or a topic that you want to keep, and you want that to keep up with your other alternative approaches or other trials, it's difficult to keep that automatically without extra effort. So it again raises the costs. And then, of course, this can be done using ChatGPT or basically switching to different windows, either in the CMS or outside the CMS to um, try the different approaches there, to copy paste it, for example, to a Word document and to compare those two and combine them and always retain the context so that you keep what works. So the solution we introduced to Kontent.ai is like really immersive native way of communicating with LLM, communicating with our author assistant capabilities more in a more conversational way, and so that you can create from blank an outline of an article, or if you have a brief and ideas that you want to retain or keyword patterns that you can create it from a blank slate until you get to the first draft. But yeah, it's perhaps better seen than heard.
Yeah, and Tom, I believe you actually have a demo prepared for us. So if you don't mind, would you show off all the things we've talked about so far today?
Yeah, of course, gladly. So, yep. So I have an article prepared about cycling in the city versus cycling in the nature. So let's show you how I can incorporate those various new skills and the existing skills to create an article that is ready for review. So let's start in the content section, and I already have an idea, an outline, how the article should go. And so I'm going to go straight ahead and type 2 forward slashes to trigger the author assist, and I'm going to paste the content brief, which kind of instructs the author assist to incorporate or elaborate on a few points from in the city versus in the nature cycling point of view. And I also want to incorporate some of the keywords. So let's hit enter and see what content is generated. All right, so we have now 2 sections as we wanted, including the keywords and elaborating on the key points I wanted to. Let's say then after this, I want the summary of the benefits for each. So I can again trigger by 2 forward slashes the author assist and ask to create a table comparing the benefits of each. And the nice thing about this is that the context of the whole content item or the text in it is used when creating the content, and it can work with a structure. So as you can see, it can use things like walls, it can use things like titles, and it can use also, voila, it can use also more advanced structures like tables, while it remembers the facts that were used in the text. So yeah, this helped me to get from 0 to 1. Now I can iterate, I can review and refine the text myself. Now each of those sections needs a visual, right? So here in the section in cycling in a city, I'm going to insert an image, and I have a couple of folders in the asset library, and I don't know every corner of it, so I can try to search a picture of a building in the background, and immediately I can, although they are not named or described in that way, I can find image that suits cycling in the city section. I can do the same. I can do the same for the nature, where I can find a picture where there is a tree in the background, and I will choose it for my section. What happens behind the scenes is when I open the image, there are generated tags for every image in my asset library, so that I can also search it not only using this generic name that someone uploaded and didn't change, but also using the tags. Um, then this section probably, or this article needs a title, so I can combine it with the existing skills, select all the text or body text of the article, and ask AI to create a title. Yeah. Then I can try again a few times, or use the title that is generated, and this article also deserves a teaser. So again, I can either use the current functionality to kind of use the predefined prompts to create a generic summary, or if I want to elaborate more, I can again use, even in a simple text element, the author assist to create a to write a teaser for this article, for example, in 2 sentences. So I can communicate the intention and also the limitations. All right. So now I have created like the first draft of the article, but my project has multiple languages. So let's now, for example, translate everything to French. So I'm going to create a French variant, and I'm going to use the new AI functionality here to translate content from English, the body content, and translate also the teaser. All right. All right. Yeah. So now I have a draft of translation into French. You can see that the translation kept all the formatting, all the titles, even kept the pictures and the inline formatting. So again, I would still need to review this and check the quality of the translation, but it helped me to get to the first draft pretty quickly. All right, so that's it about showing how we can use this variety of skills, kind of like a richer way throughout your whole content creation journey.
Yep, really, really great stuff, and very, very exciting to see. But I think we would also like to talk a bit more about our our vision for AI in a CMS in the longer horizon as well. So Tom, could you tell us a little bit about how you're thinking about AI capabilities in Kontent.ai?
Yeah, sure. So there is actually two dimensions on where we want to go. Like first, you have seen that there is still some uncovered parts in the content creation journey, and even in a single area, there is multiple opportunities which we can pursue. It's kind of like the breadth aspect, but then there is also the depth aspect because right now the level of hallucination and the ability to be consistent with the rest of your project. It's kind of not there yet, or to cover all of the use cases. So we do also our way to not only R&D away, but to use the existing technologies and patterns to improve the depth of the answers. And the first natural example is to include custom instructions. Custom instructions. If we go back to the content brief, yeah, to include the custom instructions where you can put things like your writing style or your keyword patterns or anything, any custom instructions or content brief that you have that will be included in the prompt. Then a step forward from that is using external resources so that you speed up creating that custom instructions part. For example, you can include a link to your brand guidelines or include your existing published article that might not be even in the CMS where you're writing. But basically, it helps you to create that custom instructions in a faster way. Then a next step we had in the earlier versions, it's not currently in the early access, but we are working on adding it there, is to use existing content items within the CMS, which might not be even like publicly available content. It might be either internal information or like content item created for this purpose to give context, or it can be something that hasn't been published yet. The important thing is that the custom instructions are automatically filled by AI analyzing the item in the CMS and kind of extracting the stylistic properties. And these all were just like different simple ways how to stuff the custom instructions window, but we also want to go deeper into more advanced approaches. So first of all, there is something that's called retrieval augmented generation. Basically, it works that you attach a vector database, which is a special type of database, to a language model, and that vector database can capture the relationships and the similarities of your entities, like content items or assets, which in fact helps to even more improve the context window, even more the context window, and include, for example, content from many content items, right? Because if you watch the latest market trends, the biggest window now that the Anthropic released is translated into the number of pages. It's like around 500 pages, which translates to about 500 content items. So if the author assist you in, for example, writing an article about the topic that includes a couple of products or a couple of brand facts, um, it it should be able to pull up on this information, and it is using RAG, it is able to pull all the relevant information, stuff them into this generous context window, and then use this internal information to create and generate the content, which drastically reduces the amount of hallucinations and increases the accuracy. But RAG is an important but still first step into improving the accuracy, or one of the like like first advanced step, because then there are approaches that we can take on further, but that are more costly and lengthy. Things like fine-tuning the model or training the model from scratch on our own proprietary data based on your projects. So stay tuned for when the retrieval augmented generation is going to be incorporated in our AI skills, because it's I bet that it's going to make a big difference. So this is something that we are doing in our R&D. So we expect to influence the AI skills soon in the upcoming months, let's say.
Certainly exciting times ahead, Tom. But if you want to get started with AI in your headless CMS today, you can do so via our early access program, and you can use some of the skills that Tom showed today, some of the earlier skills. So to do so, you need to navigate to your environment settings, go down to the early access program, go to the early access program, and then enable AI capabilities for your project. If you want to try out some of the skills that Tom showed off today, you can get in contact with Tom at tom.ruby@kontent.ai. Send him an email and explain your case, and we can see what we can do for you. Your feedback will help us shape these features and the form that they'll take when they eventually reach full production.
Yeah. So those features are going to, or most of them are going to get to the early access stage, but by participating and piloting the early adoption by reaching out to me, you get the chance to look it in its initial forms, and also you get a chance to shape it to your liking. So please reach out.
Yeah, just in case you missed it, here's that email again. And
Thanks.
Thank you everyone for your time today. Thank you, Tom, for showing off what's really exciting updates in Kontent.ai. And so I'm looking forward to what's coming next. And thank you all for your time.
Thank you for listening.